I invite you just to take a deep breath. Breathe in the living air of the God who created each one of us so uniquely and with purpose. The hands in longing call out your name. The tongues are different, the prayer the same. With humble spirits, can we believe that God is bigger than we conceive? These words from our feature song this week remind us that when people utter the prayer, please, or have mercy, thank you, these transcend our particularities and connect us together in a larger community. Brothers and sisters, when we recognize our common humanity, we begin to see others not like us as people struggling with the same issues as everyone else, and not as a threat.
The lands in longing call out your name. The tongues are different, the prayer the same. With humble spirits, can we believe that God is bigger than we conceive?
Let's sing.
The day is coming, the Lord will move with a hand of justice and the heart of love. The will of heaven on this earth be done. The day is coming, oh let it come. Sing. With willing spirits, Lord, let us dare to kneel with strangers and join in prayer. Grant in your mercy the hope that heals, the law of love your word reveals. The day is coming, the Lord will move with a hand of justice and the heart of love. The will of heaven on this earth be done. The day is coming, oh let it come.
The desert and the dry land will be glad. The wilderness will rejoice and blossom like the crocus. They will burst into bloom and rejoice with joy and singing. They will receive the glory of Lebanon, the splendor of Carmel and Sharon. They will see the Lord's glory, the splendor of our God. Strengthen the weak hands and support the unsteady knees. Say to those who are panicking, be strong, don't fear. Here's your God coming with vengeance, with divine retribution. God will come to save you. Then the eyes of those who cannot see will be opened, and the ears of those who cannot hear will be cleared. Then those who cannot walk will leap like the deer, and the tongue of the speechless will sing. Waters will spring up in the desert and streams in the wilderness. The burning sand will become a pool, and the thirsty ground a fountain of water. The jackal's habitat, a pasture, grass will become reeds and rushes. A highway will be there. It will be called the Holy Way. The unclean won't travel on it, but it will be for those walking on that way. Even fools won't get lost on it. No lion will be there. No predator will go up on it. None of these will be there. Only the redeemed will walk on it. The Lord's ransomed ones will return and enter Zion with singing, with everlasting joy upon their heads. Happiness and joy will overwhelm them. Grief and groaning will flee them.
A barren wasteland we must reclaim, with hearts forbearing each other's pain. Grant us the courage to make a place, to plant tomorrow's seeds of grace. The day is coming, the Lord will move with the hands of justice and the heart of love. The will of heaven on this earth be done. The day is coming, oh let it come. The day is coming, oh let it come.
Beautiful and burdened land,
I hear a sweet, melodious voice that rings out.
It rings out across the mountains and the plains.
It rings out in the streets and in the holy places.
It rings out in the marketplace and in the sea.
The voice is captivating and enthralling. The staccato of the words are foreign and yet familiar, and as it's drawn to the beat of my body, slowly begins to slowly rock.
At this moment, I forget my individualism and isolation and recall that is heard around the world and the various times and diverse places to join the holy conversion that is prayer.
This holy dialogue is shared in tongues I cannot speak. It is shared with those standing next to me and those across the globe.
It is punctuated with needs I may never have or ones so similar to mine.
That we speak in unison.
We cannot be that different if we share this same call. For the call I hear, the call we hear, is only a reminder of the call you gave millennia ago to remain in this holy dialogue through the language of love.
We cannot be that different if we share the same call.
To pray to one greater than ourselves.
Allah,
Jehovah,
Elohim,
Adonai, Adonai,
Yahweh.
Dias,
Asante,
Bakine.
God.
May my heart be as a minaret that calls me to this sweet and holy conversation. As I pray, may I remember that I do not pray alone. Rather, my voice joins the cacophony of voices around the world in praise of the one. May I remember that we too are one. Amen.
The day is coming, the Lord will move with a hand of justice and the heart of love. The will of heaven on this earth be done. The is coming, oh let it come. The day is coming, oh let it come.
Today marks Palm Sunday, and we did try to get everyone on board with reminders of palms flowing freely during our opening hymn. Palm Sunday gets us one step closer to Easter. It is the day when we recall the triumphant entry of Jesus into the crowds within that city, the same city that would soon host his cruel death. Palm Sunday is bittersweet. But it wasn't so much for the first observers of Palm Sunday, those who loudly proclaim Hosanna as Jesus came in. You see, they weren't privy like us to what lie ahead later in the week. That was their Messiah parading in front of them, humble as he was on a borrowed donkey and colt. Yet this was him, the one that they had heard about, the one who had healed many of them, the one who had welcomed them, given them a voice, the one who had made a place at the table for every one of them. So for them, unaware of the next few days, how Jesus' closest friends would betray him and deny him, this parade was a celebration. But back to us. Palm Sunday has always held this rash of emotions for me. It's been hard, still is, to get into the full swing of palm waving, because I, like you, know what's coming. Oh, sure, I know what's coming a week from today, the big day in Christianity. The day that we celebrate that nothing could stop the message of love and the message of Jesus in our world, not even the cruelest of deaths. So I know, and you know, that today begins a 7-day roller coaster of emotions where we will go from a great day like today, a beautiful day of waving palms and celebrating, and we will simmer with that for a couple of days. And then Maundy Thursday hits. And then Good Friday comes. Then Holy Saturday, when the kids will hunt Easter eggs, and some of us will also remember Holy Saturday in the ancient community. And then, thank God, it's Easter. For pastors and others that lead worship, and I know we have a few pastors in our midst, Katie and others, you got to remember we're a few steps ahead of you. That's our job. You see, as we are placing the order for palms, we're also deep in the planning and preparation for Good Friday. It takes some discipline then to remain on the journey with you, to not get too far ahead. And this is one week when I try really hard to do that. Because the truth is, I don't want Monday, Thursday, and Good Friday to come too soon or stay too long. And God knows I need a little mini Easter, like Palm Sunday, to gain some momentum going into the high holy days later this week. I want to thank Pamela Miller, our elder, for preaching last week, and she brought it, didn't she? Amen. And I want to thank Kenny and Brenda and others for stepping in while I was away on vacation. And as some of you may know, I just returned from a week's vacation in one of my favorite places on earth, Key West. Now, admittedly, in my younger days, my draw to Key West focused on Duval Street. I can tell by the laughs that some of you are familiar with Duval Street. You'll understand why I'm thankful my call to ministry came after those days. Or maybe more truthfully, I should say, I didn't answer my call to ministry until I'd worked some things out. Back in the days when I went to Women's Fest for 7 years in a row, y'all can look that up if you want to know more about that. I packed my bags anxious to get to the southernmost point of the United States for some fun in the sun, knowing full well that I also had plans to have some fun on Duval Crawl well after the sun went down. Sorry, Mama. The first time that I went to Key West was in 1999, the same year that Lexington passed its fairness ordinance, an ordinance that would protect LGBT community from discrimination as related to housing and job protection and other forms of discrimination. On the eve of my first departure to Key West, my niece Savannah, now 20, was only 2 years old. And having begged me to spend the night, she was watching Wizard of Oz, which is still her favorite movie, and I was ironing clothes. That's back in the day when I ironed. I don't do that anymore either. But I was ironing clothes, and Savannah was watching Wizard of Oz, and I was watching another television as the fairness ordinance here in Lexington played out. And Kenny's familiar with how that can happen in a council meeting. Both sides digging their heels in, pontificating their beliefs. As I listened to speaker after speaker, and particularly conservative and exclusive ministers voice opposition to treating everyone fairly, I've got to tell you, I was tempted to pack more than a week's worth of clothes. I was tempted to pack up all my stuff and leave Kentucky for good. Luckily, during that same city council session, I also heard a strong minister's voice advocating for the LGBT community. And hearing that changed my life. For when I returned from the Key West trip, I began attending that church, that same church that would co-sponsor my ordination some 11 years later. As soon as I landed in Key West back in 1999, I felt like I had joined Savannah's Dorothy in a land far, far from home. Only instead of seeking a wizard to help me get back to Kentucky, I was hoping to find a good reason to stay in Key West. But family and career responsibilities dictated that I return. To be honest, I wasn't sure what was going on in the conch republic of Key West. But I knew it sure felt different than my old Kentucky home. Key West has long been recognized for radical inclusion. For some, that meant that if you were a gay or lesbian person in Key West, it was a place where you could hold your partner's hand while walking down the street without fear of a bottle flying towards your head, a name yelled out a window, or a confrontation that could lead to physical harm. So many of us flocked to a place where we could just be ourselves, with no pretenses, no judgment, and with wild diversity. All these years, I have continued to feel the draw of Key West. And we go anytime we're able. We save our resources and do our best to get there every couple of years or so. But what I've come to understand in the past few years is that the draw of Key West far surpasses being able to hold Brenda's hand in public. Little little did I know that at the same time Lexington City Council was debating fairness in 1999, which eventually did pass, down in Key West, a fellow named J.T. Thompson coined the philosophy, one human family. After spending 4 years trying to come up with the perfect phrase to unite all people, J.T. shares, and I quote, "The first time I got the idea was in 1976 at an anti-Anita Bryant demonstration in Hollywood, California. Anita Bryant was an outspoken opponent of equality for the LGBT community." J.T. continues, "There were hundreds of African Americans from the NAACP arrived with a banner showing opposition to her discrimination, and most of them were not gay." Thompson said, "I realize minorities are kept politically separate. But if minorities, hear me church, if minorities stand up for each other and march side by side, we are a great force." JT says, "I walked with the NAACP in that rally as the only white person in sight and felt tremendous power in the support of my brothers and sisters of color. We are all in this together, and we must stand with each other when anyone faces discrimination." Thompson is an art director who moved to the southernmost city of Key West in 1979. He always knew there was something special about the island, and when the slogan that he created hit the streets, he could not keep the one human family bumper stickers in stock. He said, "It took me a long time to understand what's so special about Key West. I see people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds embracing one human family, all around the island and all around the world. The proclamation making it official philosophy of Key West was approved unanimously by the City Commission on October 17th, 2000. In January of 2001, the Monroe County Commission unanimously adopted it as their official philosophy of all of the Conch Republic. Former President Barack Obama and Pope Francis have referenced one human family in their speeches. Even the Dalai Lama wrote about the oneness of the whole of humanity, saying we are all members of one human family. This makes sense to me now. That is the real draw of Key West. I didn't know anything about this one human family proclamation and bumper sticker until Brenda and I visited the Peace Store on Duval last week to get Savannah a 20th birthday present. We met Mike, a young, straight musician from Allentown, Pennsylvania, who moved to Key West this past October because Mike was tired of seeing his fellow musician friends in Allentown sell their musical instruments to feed their arm, as he put it. He told Brenda and I love this place. It's diverse, and everyone buys into this whole one human family idea. Later in the week, this one human family discussion continued with Alina, a young, straight, formerly Jewish masseuse in Key West, whose roots are in Boston, but is leaving the Keys soon. She'll go up to Martha's Vineyard to do massages for a while, and then in January, she will move to Hawaii to go to acupuncture school. Emmy, I told her about you and your love of Hawaii and how blessed we are to have your Hawaiian influence in our congregation. Alina and I had a great conversation. And she too is drawn to the welcoming spirit of Key West. After I shared with Alina I was a pastor, she said, I'm searching for a religious community that's open to other faiths and other thoughts, and one which I can engage my mind along with my heart. And I told her proudly about Bluegrass United Church of Christ and how we were a small but mighty clan, and how difficult it was to go against the grain of the loudest pulpits and the largest budgets who take every opportunity to silence those who break the hinges off the doors and the rules to welcome all. I encourage my new friend Alina to not give up on religion, to not give up on church. And she seemed intent on taking my advice. One human family draws folks like Brenda and I to meaningful conversations and connections with strangers like Mike and Lena. See, I think that this is at the heart. This is the heart. This is the message of Jesus. The crowds welcoming him as he entered Jerusalem were not political powers or religious piety or the upper echelon of society. No, the folks waving the palms and throwing their cloaks down, those were the folks who had been excluded and ignored, oppressed, and the ones without voice or power. They were from different cultures and religions and family dynamics, and Jesus reminded them time and time again that we are all brothers and sisters, that we are one human family. That all sounds good, doesn't it? Yet in truth, what we know is that it's hard to live into that. It's much easier to take refuge with our own. It's tempting, isn't it, friends, to hunker down in our safety nets of commonality and deny the work to be done within ourselves and within our communities of faith and our communities of living. Friends, we have to recognize that to make real change occur, the uncomfortable work of befriending and opposition has to occur, at least to some degree. Oh, we hear we're only as strong as our weakest link, but we hesitate to live as if that were true. Jesus came to encourage us and to show us the love of God, a love that is hard to imagine because it's so unconditional and full of grace. And Jesus also came to challenge us, to humble us, to call us to reach out and indeed make a place at the table for everyone born. And it's tough going, my friends, to work for justice as we welcome the unjust, to give voice to the silenced as we provide a seat for those who did the silencing. J.T. Thompson says, that simple art director from Key West, like fingers on a hand, we are all different and unique. We are all of equal value. We're all created to work together. And although we appear separate, we are all linked and a part of one another. If that's hard to live into within the walls of our own church, we already know how hard it is to live into when we go out into the world. Brothers and sisters, Jesus came and lived among us to remind us that we are one. No matter our faith tradition or any other of our differences, we come from one God, one Creator, And all of our blood is red. That Key West bumper sticker, over 2.5 million of them given out by now. It says, all people are created equal members of one human family. It's that draw of Key West that gives me a little foretaste of what heaven must be like. One family, many differences, one love, one God. Yet the truth is, without a bumper sticker and riding a borrowed donkey in a spontaneous parade, Jesus gave us that lesson a long, long time ago. Perhaps someday we'll believe it enough to live it out. Perhaps someday we'll work together to make one human family a reality. Right now, right where we are. May it be so. I invite you to turn to someone near you and say to them, with your help, the day is coming. With your help, the day is coming. Look at them in the eye. With your help, the day is coming.
The day is coming, the Lord will move with a hand of justice and a heart of love. The will of heaven on this earth be done. The day is coming, oh let it come. The day is coming, oh let it come.
Kenny, let's just sing that again a cappella.
The day is coming, the Lord will move with a hand of justice and the heart of love. The will of heaven on this earth be done. The day is coming, oh let it come. The day is coming, oh let it come.
One human family.